Get contender updates and expert analysis and go behind the scenes with exclusive features. Make sure you subscribe to get the best racing content all year long. From coast to coast and across the globe, FanDuel Racing on YouTube has you covered.
The Saturday setup starts right here, right now on FanDuel TV as we bring it into the clubhouse. Caleb Keller, Dubs Anderson coming to you live from our Los Angeles studios. From Kentucky Derby preps to graded stakes action, really no shortage on the line.
A little preview of March Madness, Dubsy, here, because not only, as you alluded to, we have the big Derby races, but literally all divisions are covered today. We got one for the older males, a legendary race in Santa Anita. We got the older females, big race there at Oaklawn Park. Turf dirt, you name it, 3-year-olds and upward.
Whether you're here to chase that early double or the late pick four, there's a little something for everybody. Let's take a look at the super slate here for your Saturday afternoon. And out at Tampa Bay, really looks to be one of the days of the season. The Florida Oaks into the Tampa Bay Derby with some star shooters on the scene, CK.
And luckily, we're looking forward to some Florida sunshine here. Don't forget about the Kilroe Mile. You know, in years past, the Kilroe used to be the first win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup. Azeri, if you're a big fan of the network, you might remember one of our old TVG classics was Azeri going to the Apple Blossom. Well, that horse was so good, she got a race named for her. And also, Aqueduct, let's get a little New York Stakes action in play as well.
From the Tampa Bay Derby, racing from New York, and of course, Big Cap Day out at Santa Anita, the great race place getting set to turn it on for your Saturday afternoon as we take a look at the cross-country coverage from East Coast out to the West. We've got some good weather in parts, but also could be a couple of factors with some of the big courses in focus.
And, you know, weather has been a real big key for the first 2 months of the year. January and February, so many, you know, cancellations and wet tracks and cold weather. Hopefully, starting right now in March, this is our first Saturday of the new month. Let's hope for some better weather here this month.
This is where we will have the teams from the cross country. But for now, let's head out to Tampa Bay Downs, where we get set for the Tampa Bay Derby. It's Anthony Pascal and Matt Carruthers. Anthony, course conditions for the Saturday afternoon.
Gentlemen, happy Derby Day, Tampa Bay Derby. We are happy to be here at, Matt, what has quickly become one of your favorite tracks.
Oh, I love it here. I've been coming here for like 15 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I've missed this day, Festival Day.
Yes.
Here, Tampa Bay Derby Day, their biggest day of the meeting, $400,000, mile and a 16th, race number 11. We had some overnight rain that is affecting things just a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to be off the turf for race number 5. Unfortunately, that has scratched down to a field of 4, so do note that. But let's take a look at the big race of the day, the Tampa Bay Derby, because doesn't it have the feel of, this is one of the best editions of the Tampa Bay Derby that we've seen in quite some time.
I agree. It has the feel like, you know, whoever wins this is a legitimate Derby horse.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have the points automatic, basically, with the 50 points towards the winner. And, you know, Further Ado is your morning line favorite, and I don't know, I think he'll be your post-time favorite. I think it'll be very close, the odds between Further Ado and Canaletto. And Further Ado, first time he stretched out was at Keeneland going a mile and 16th, and he won by 4 seconds, otherwise known as 20 lengths. And then he does this. It was more of a workmanlike, racing cliche, win in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And I don't know if it was the strongest of fields that he beat.
As we look back now and you look at some of the horses who have come out of that race, it doesn't look like the strongest edition of the Kentucky Jockey Club. But this was not Further Ado's best race. His best race was the race before when he broke the maiden by 20 at Keeneland. I wonder if he bounced a little in that race. Then he went on the shelf and he took some time off, has been working up at Payson Park. I know the connections are very happy with the way he has been working. But there is the Todd factor in this year's Tampa Bay Derby as well.
You know, he's won 6 times, and he lost with Any Given Saturday by a nose to Street Sense in 2007. Street Sense obviously winning the Derby that year. So, yeah, you know, he's dominated in this race. He has power shift the maiden he said going into that maiden race, he liked this horse so much. If he wins, he's going to run in the Tampa Bay Derby. He didn't win. But, I mean, he beats a field like that 99% of the time. He just ran into emerging market for Chad Brown, who was a little bit better, who was a little less than a second off the track record.
Yeah, the race came back very fast.
Yeah, 96 buyer for Power Shift in defeat. Emerging market, I think we'll be seeing 2 weeks from today in the Louisiana Derby.
And then the horse that I feel like we've been talking about for more than a month now, Canaletto, for Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt. Canaletto debuted at Gulfstream Park. And he was very highly thought of before this race, and he was bet like it on this day. But I'll tell you what, he performed like it too, as advertised. What an impressive maiden score from Canaletto back on January the 25th.
$1 million purchase by Into Mischief out of a distorted humor mare. Let me ask you this, because you're at Gulfstream, you've been there every day, this meeting. I read Dave Grenning's article in the Daily Racing Form. He was talking about how Canaletto took advantage a little bit of an outside bias that day. Do you buy into that at all?
Well, there's no doubt that the rail has not been good at Gulfstream for most of the meet. I feel like it's gotten a little better over the last week or two. But at that time, yes, the rail was not good. I would not say, though, that had anything to do with that big performance from Canaletto. He was, you could just tell the way he was striding out that he's a special horse. Now, he does lack seasoning in this race, and I think that's going to hurt him a little bit here. He's going to have to be a real superstar to be able to handle this field today.
Yeah, and speaking of superstars, I mean, look at these names. No room for hiccups. Impressive maiden winners debuting after January 1st. Canaletto doing so towards the end of that month. There's Curlin, who ended up running a super third behind Street Sense and Hard Spun in the Derby in 2007. Justify doesn't debut until February 18th and wins the Triple Crown. And then Mage, second in the Fountain of Youth, third in the Florida Derby, and then pulling the upset to win the Kentucky Derby.
Connections with Mage. They're going to send out the Puma today. And Matt, the more and more I look at the Puma, I mean, the fact that Chief Wallaby ran so big in the Fountain of Youth, the Puma in his debut race was only, a length behind Chief Wallaby in that maiden race. So now the Puma's had a little bit of seasoning. I'm kind of warming up to him as we get closer to the race.
Another maiden in this race. He didn't have the cleanest of trips in the Davis, but he ran well. So he has that race over this track, which the others in this field, most of them do not possess. He probably was second best in that race, and he loses to Renegade for Pletcher and Rapoli, who right now, if the Derby was today, was probably the horse that I would be betting at this point.
That is the Tampa Bay Derby, but we've got plenty of great racing to get to before that. Post time 12:15. We are good on the main track. The turf course is listed as good as well, but remember, we are off the turf for race number 5. Much more from Tampa in just a bit, but right now, back to the studio.
Thank you, team. 78 and sunny out here on the West Coast this afternoon as we get set for Big Cap Day out at Santa Anita, Caleb. And the road to the Kentucky Derby rolls on. 11 races on the program. Obviously, the Big Cap will be in focus for us with the handicap at the San Felipe. Exciting addition on deck.
It really is, especially when you have a $3 million horse in Brand and an undefeated horse like So Happy. But here is the trail starting at the Los Al Futurity. You have a little bit of a break there, and then things really start to pick up there early February and early March.
The form lines can be quite strong if you can find success in the San Felipe, trying to carry it through the rest of the season into the first Saturday in May. Let's bring up the notable winners in that crowning achievement. Horses who won the San Felipe and got on to win a race in the Triple Crown. Journalism from 2025 went on to get the score in the Preakness. Authentic California Chrome. What a turnback that was in 2014.
I mean, that's a who's who list. How about 4 of these San Felipe winners not only won a Triple Crown race, they won 2, or even in the case of a firm, they won all 3. So that is a really impressive list for this race later on today.
The stars out here on the West Coast taking full display in centre stage for your Saturday afternoon as we bring up the odds board for this one. And it's a very competitive field of 7 going forward. Brand, big expectations. It's a big price tag. Was the star going through the 2-year-old campaign, taking out the Del Mar Futurity, and just coming up a little short in the Breeders' Cup.
And in terms of how much they paid for this horse, well, you know, the gun runners, they've been going for big-time money. Paladin was a gun runner, nearly $2 million. You take a look at the fact that Sierra Leone was a gun runner for nearly $2 million. And in this case, you know, Brand, you basically put all these horses together, essentially, to get to the price of Brand.
Just making the 4th career start here this afternoon. And for more on the big expectations from day one and all the buzz, we take a look at a very special feature with Eddie Woods.
As with every sport, the path to becoming a champion starts long before we see an athlete reach the pinnacle of their profession. And in the sport of kings, to get to the Breeders' Cup, many start here, with some of the best horses to ever grace a racetrack, starting with this man, Eddie Woods. Eddie is known in the business as one of the great pinhookers of his time. Think of him as a high school coach, the one that sees that first initial sign of talent. He doesn't just see a horse, he sees its potential, its confirmation, the flicker of raw ability that separates a good horse from a great one. And in this business, where fortunes are won and lost in a single glance, no one doubts his opinion.
Eddie's like shopping at Neiman Marcus. I mean, it's all good. He's got all the good stuff.
An absolute gentleman. He's a legend in our business and one that anyone would emulate to be part of.
He has a very good way of seeing the future, and to be spot on as he is so many times is a feather in his cap.
His reaction when he would sell a big money horse, you could just see the pride gushing out of him.
He's an icon of the two-year-old in training cells because he's the guy that usually has all the bullets.
Pinhooking, it's a bit like Russian roulette. You buy horses, in our case, buying yearlings in the fall, and you sell them as two-year-olds in the spring. It kind of took off from the beginning. Once we got going, we were going. Had the opportunity to get in and buy a large tract of land. It was a no-brainer.
It's at his farm that Eddie built his reputation as a pre-trainer, putting the crucial first touches on his young athletes.
It takes about a month to get from the beginning till they're on the racetrack. You start them in the stalls, introduce them to the tack, then you go to the shed row, get them jogging, then you go on to the round pens, the paddock, and after that to the track. Just bring them along at the pace that they need to be brought along on. We follow them all. You know, they're like your kids. We've had some serious horses. Midnight Loot, Lady Eli, Bayern, Whitmore, Authentic, several champions.
And now, the Eddie Woods School of Champions hopes to continue its dominance with a young colt that has been making headlines, Brant.
He always showed a lot of promise. He was automatic from the get-go. Basically, the whole world and its mother was on that horse at the sale. We just had to present him.
You can always tell when Eddie, he knows when he's sitting on a really good one. I could tell by his confidence level was pretty high on that horse. You know, he zipped down through there, beautiful moving horse. So it was a matter of, you know, what's he going to cost?
I thought he would bring around about $2 million.
Bid of 9 million, now 1, now $1,000,000. You're up front, $1,000,000, now 2. Hit 2 million, hit a bid in 2, 2 million. You're out the back, $3,000,000, $3,000,000. Bid of a half. Mark, $3 million. Thank you.
Selling Brand for $3 million was quite a thrill.
A great ending to a fantastic story.
We had set a new record in OBS, and it's always nice to do something like that and ending on a good note.
That note came in the form of retirement. After 3 decades perfecting his craft, Eddie Woods has brought the curtain down on what has been arguably the most influential pinhooking and two-year-old training operation in North America.
From all of us to you, Eddie, Angela, thanks. Good luck.
We were at the top, we're close to it. I turned 67, and it was time to go. The thing I'll miss the most is the farm. We built it, came out beautiful. It's gone into good hands. That's what I miss the most, I think. And selling a $3 million horse.
Eddie's going to miss the game, and we're going to miss Eddie, but the legacy runs forward with Brant this afternoon coming up in the San Felipe, and should be the horse to beat, Caleb.
He went through all those famous alumni like Authentic and Lady Eli. How about Big Brown? I'll add that one to the list. Big Brown wasn't even mentioned there in that feature. But we knew that Brant was super fast. As a matter of fact, he popped a 101 buyer on debut. So the good news is you've already got one of the fastest racehorses in the world. The bad news is where do you go from a 101? And Brant's had 2 good races since it, but has not matched that 101. And speaking of speed, Brant's going to have to go up against So Happy. So Happy won the San Vicente. That was the fastest winning time for the San Vicente since Nyquil. twist in 2016, and we know what he did in the Derby.
The sophomore is looking to fire with a fast stride this afternoon in the San Felipe. Let's turn it a little further into the program. Arguably one of the mainstays out here in Southern California, the 90th running of the Santa Anita Handicap. And what a field lacks in quantity, certainly quality standing tall. And you look at some of the past names, Caleb, it's the best of the very best that have taken this race.
This is the race that made Santa Anita in the 30s. It was the first ever $100,000 race, and famously it brought Seabiscuit to town.
It's all about Locked and Jose Ortiz dominating the big cap, cruising home to an effortless 8-length rock.
Game on, dude. Lava match is now
the 6th running of the Santa Anita Handicap. There they go.
Seabiscuit attack. They're coming down there. Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit wins it. A new world championship down there. He wins it. It's into the next crowd. And down the stretch they come. Affirmed has the lead by 5. Killer on the outside second. It's Affirmed in front. And Affirmed wins the big cap by 4 lengths. On the outside, here comes John Henry. John Henry on the outside. Perot at the rail. Noses apart. 3 outs at the rail. Event of the air alongside. Silver Charm plugging away in third. But 3 outs. And Chris McCarron going to take the big cap. And Tisnow's opened up 3, 4 lengths. And here he comes. American sensation. It's going to be Tisnow and Chris McCarron in the big cap. Setsuko on the outside. Twirling Candy. Oh, a lot of bumping going on. Game on, dude. Shifted out. Game on, dude. Perhaps the easiest winner in history of the big cap. Game on, dude. Gonna write his way into the history book. Game on, dude. And Mike Smith have won the Santa Anita Handicap.
You can win this one. You're putting yourself in the history books with some of the elite. As we take a look at past winners here, showing a bit of California love to the Calbred winners of the Santa Anita Handicap since 1991. As we take a look here, Lava Man back in 2007 and 6. We saw Tisnow in that package all the way through to Best Pal.
Love seeing those names on the list. Lava Man just owned the handicap division here in California for about a 3-year span. And look, there's been better horses in here over the last 10 years than you think, because Accelerate won this race. We know he won the Classic. And we showed you that Locked won it last year. Well, who was third beaten 12 in last year's Big Cap? How about Hit Show, who came out to win the Dubai World Cup in upset fashion? So in the last 10 years in this race, you've had a Breeders' Cup Classic winner and a Dubai World Cup winner.
Let's bring up the field for this afternoon's running of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. 2 Grade 1s on the program from the great race place. It's a good-looking betting board here. Skippy obviously being the big story point going through the week, their early scratch. And suddenly, Caleb, I think that opens things wide up.
Well, we have 2 big stakes races today here, Dubsy, for the older horses. The Kilroe Mile, the race before, and then the Santa Anita Handicap. The 2 races have totally different pace flows. Because in the Kilroe Mile, they're going to be going warp speed early in terms of the pace in that 1-mile turf race. The Santa Anita Handicap, though, they're going to be in no rush out of the blocks. I'm guessing the 2, Getaway Car takes the lead. The 3 won't be far off, but considering there's only 5 horses, this is going to be a slow early pace and then a big sprint home.
A couple of question marks early in this one could decide things late. Vodka on a Saturday? Yes, please. What about the racehorse sitting at 6-1? On the line, the 5-year-old who comes in with good form, CK, rattled off 3 wins in the last 4, certainly gets a tough test today, but morning workouts have been sharp.
I wouldn't underestimate this horse. This is the last out race, and they're basically just showing off on the turf because I think this horse is better on the dirt. But, you know, the one reason why I think this one could be overlooked, you know Ken DeSormo gives those ice-cold rides when the big money's down. But 2 starts ago, this horse was on the lead versus Nisos. That does not sound fun. This horse could probably relax today or maybe hit the lead, but those 2 efforts on the dirt, beating Westwood, who's a scratch. He's going to go to Oaklawn, I believe, coming up next week. So Vodka is just sharply improving and will likely be underrated in this race.
The big contender, the big threat for the rest of the competition here, just a touch. We'll start from the 3-hole. Sits at a short mark here for trainer Brad Cox, and the 5-year-old still racing at a very high clip. We saw this effort in the Louisiana Stakes. Just going to be bested late in this one, but brings that form out from the fairgrounds.
Now, there's two ways to look at this. You could be disappointed that the horse was 4-5 and did not get the win. But Accelerize is a nice horse for Pletcher, and this is where you don't want to be at Fairgrounds. We've been saying all meet at the Fairgrounds, inside speed. Inside speed. Meanwhile, Just a Touch was in an outside striking position, and this was the first race since July off the layoff. So yes, got beat, but by a pretty good horse, didn't really have the race flow in their favor, and also was the first start in almost 6 months.
There's a couple of big threats there. Getaway Car, the 2, comes in for Baffert, sitting at 3-1. We'll look for a very sharp start out of the blocks. The big question mark could be British Isles. The 6 there has just been varying through the surfaces, the distances, but takes aim again here this afternoon with some elite competition.
Yeah, I would have never thought that British Isles would successfully go to the dirt, but he has. I mean, he was second in the Native Diver. That was second to Nevada Beach. And actually, British Isles was a sneaky 5th in the field of 12 there in the Pegasus, also on the dirt.
All that coming up in the Santa Anita Handicap. So we've already highlighted how great the racing looks to be here this afternoon. 2 Grade 1s, 11 race program, Derby points on the line. But what about the wagering? I can hear you players. You want a ticket from this guy. Caleb, where are you looking?
So we're starting something new on Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday special and Sunday for that matter, where we put the focus on the late pick 3. It has a high minimum, $3, and a low takeout, 15%. So I mentioned race 9 to the Kilrow. They're going to be absolutely rocking and rolling early in that race. So I will take El Patente, the number 3. He has a spectacular time at Santa Anita last year in the Thunder Road. And I'm going to leave off some other speed horses. I've got the 4, Gas Me Up with Mirko de Muro, and my price is going to be the number 2, Almendaris with Gaffleone. 10th race, Santa Anita Handicap, give me Just a Touch. I've been really wanting to see the sons of Justify run at Santa Anita. Justify was a beast at all tracks, and especially at Santa Anita when he won the Santa Anita Derby. And if we can get to those first 2 races, I thought the 11th race could open up. I've got some prices here in the last. You know, the 1 is likely a horse that's going to get bet a lot. But how about the 3 is my sneak long shot there. The 3's getting better in the last. The 4 is a huge lone speed opportunity at a big number. And then the 7 and 9 have been running greenly and could like the added distance today.
For $45, you can jump in and play this one, the $3 pick 3. Caleb, good news. I've just made a reservation at the Steakhouse. So this is a must-hit, must-play kind of Saturday afternoon if you're looking to tail this one via the FanDuel Racing app. I'm excited for the slate this afternoon. It is Tampa Bay Derby day. We've got the Big Cap, the Handicap from Santa Anita, of course, the San Felipe. What else do we want?
And you know, that late pick 3, if it basically comes 3 favorites, I've been actually following this. If it comes 3 favorites, about the minimum that bad boy can pay usually is about $100. That's why that $3 minimum plus the 15% takeout, it's a reason why it's the Saturday special.
It is the time now to stand up tall, pick up those Derby points and punch the ticket to the first Saturday in May. And for you players looking to join us, if you're a new customer, bet $10, get $50 in racing bonus. Just scan the QR code and it will take you right across to FanDuel Racing for Super Saturday.